let's say I come to you as a new client wanting to build my personal brand, but I don't know how or even where to begin. It almost feels overwhelming. So, what are some exercises I should do to start narrowing in on what I want my brand to communicate?
Yeah, I think the first step though is to ask yourself if who is your audience? Who are you trying to connect with through this personal brand? And be aware you can have more than one personal brand.
Are you at a crossroads in your career, unsure how to move forward or stand out in a sea of talent? Maybe you're striving for that promotion, a new project, or you just simply want to be known for what you do best. Your personal brand is the key to opening that door to new opportunities and shaping how others see your potential. A personal brand can be a unique combination of skills, experience, and values you consistently showcase to build your reputation, increase your visibility, and even expand your network and beyond. Think of it like a cologne or perfume that envelops everything that makes you amazing, and everyone wants to get a whiff or even buy that bottle. We'll talk more in depth about why a personal brand is so important no matter where you are in your career. In some ways, you can actually develop your personal brand even if you're starting from scratch. Now, to guide us today in our conversation, we're joined by Madeline Mackey, a career activator, certified resume writer, and LinkedIn strategist. She has more to her bio here. She has a proven track record of helping professionals define and amplify their unique value, which she knows a thing or two about because, in addition to her credentials, she's also a published biochemistry researcher, has worked at 4 Tony Award winning theaters, and responded to disasters all over the country as an officer with the American Red Cross. Whoa, I could go on and on, Madeline, but thank you so much and welcome to All Things Work.
Thank you, Anne. I am so excited to be here and to talk about my favorite topic, your brand, your personal and professional brand. We're going to have a lot of fun today.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited. I can already feel the energy, and I would love to dive right into some practical steps of how to build your personal brand. That's why we're all here. So let's understand some fundamentals. Let's start off with, what are the key components involved in shaping your personal brand?
So, your personal brand is how you show up. And sometimes it's how you show up when you're not even in the room. It's how people know you. I loved what you said about it's a perfume, it's a fragrance, right? That people remember. So in this day and age though, you have your personal brand and you have your professional brand, and those two brands are also composed of your physical person, but also we got to take into account who you are digitally. And we cannot ignore that today because everybody is online in some capacity. And that also influences your brand.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. So, how specifically can a strong personal brand make a positive difference in someone's current role as well as their future career goals? Like you said, you want your personal brand to be aware in a room even if you're not there.
Right. Because think about the big brands, right?
Mhm.
People know if I say just do it,
Uh,
they're like, that's Nike.
Literally, first thing that came to my mind. I was thinking Nike in my head, and I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Sorry.
Right?
Continue.
Exactly. That's a brand. If somebody says to you, just do it, immediately in your mind, the swish, the Nike swish shows up, right? So that's what you want your personal brand to do. When somebody says something, someone says, I need an expert in strategic planning. I need an expert in marketing. I need an expert in customer relations or whatever it is. You want them to go, "Oh, that's June. That's Jennifer. That's Micah." You want them to already know this is who you are. So it's the familiarity of people understanding your values, your expertise, your work ethic, how you show up. So that when somebody mentions those values, those expertise, those qualities, they immediately think your name And that's why it's so critical, because when there's an opportunity and they start talking about here's who I need to fill that opportunity, you want them to slot in your name.
Yeah, it's almost like a psychology behind it. It's all about, the coloring, the phrase, keeping it short, not keeping it too long, all the things like the words just do it. Three simple words. We say it all the time, but the combination just is easy for people to remember. So all behind that. So I would love it because I know you work with a lot of people. Can you share an example of one of your clients that used your advice to build their personal brand and it actually led to new opportunities or really impacted their career?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite stories is Carla. Carla worked for a utility company and she was kind of in the shadows. And she really was like, I want more opportunities. I want to be a mentor. I want to be considered for speaking on panels at events. I want to be noticed. And so, what we did is, first of all, we optimized her LinkedIn profile. And we're going to talk more about that a little later, but we optimized her LinkedIn profile and she started to share her expertise online. So, best tips for her department, working with her department, she was community outreach. So, working with the community, she was highlighting the community partners, she was tagging the CEO when he got a big community award. And she constantly did it, but it was about once a week. So, it wasn't like every day she was on LinkedIn, but once a week she would post something. Well, when she tagged the CEO in that post, he took a look and connected with her. And he started to follow her. And all of a sudden, they reached out to her and said, Hey, we love what you're doing on LinkedIn. Will you sit on a panel at the all staff meeting this spring? She sat on the panel, gave tips about building a brand. Then they tapped her for a leadership opportunity. And then they tapped her again to be a mentor for others in the organization. And then she got a promotion. And she's like, Madeline, they reached out to me about the opportunity. There was no job posting. They said, Hey, there's an opening in this department, and we'd like you to submit your information. And it was all because of this digital brand that she built of showcasing the value she brings to the organization.
I love that, and, it kinda reminds me of this story, my favorite comedian, Mike Birbiglia, he talks on his own podcast about, what made him finally get noticed and get, new opportunities like his Netflix special and everything, and he said it kinda happened when he started to just be him. And he didn't care about trying to, make something out of thin air. He was really taking the real stuff that he was experiencing, the real stuff he knows, and just using that. So that's when he started to realize that it was working. But how do other people, maybe the ones who are not in like the celebrity space, know if their personal brand is really working? How do you even measure that?
I think it starts with the basics, right? How do you show up every day? And let's focus on people's career brand, right? How do you show up in the office? Are you always on time? Or are you the one that's always running late? Do you always meet your deadlines when someone asks you to work on a project? Are you the one that's like, I'm happy to do that? Do you have a positive attitude? Are you dressed professionally? Do you ask intelligent questions? All of those things people take notice of. And by them seeing you as someone that shows up, that's professional, that knows how to do their job, that's going to lead to other things. So it's really taking the time to ask yourself, how do I want to show up today? Who do I want people to see when they interact with me? And I think one of the things right during the pandemic, we all got a little bit too comfortable of turning off our cameras or dressing from the waist up and, and showing up in yoga pants and wearing our fuzzy socks. And you're going back to the office now. You cannot wear your fuzzy socks to the office right now, unless it's fuzzy sock day. Then you can go ahead and play along. But for now, you really have to think about how are you showing up in person, online, and with your colleagues, because that all leaves an impression.
I think it really does, and I think, I mean, even one of our executives, she has, like, these famous bracelets that we always say she has, like, so many bracelets, but she her fashion is off the charts. But she always has her signature bracelets with her watch. And if you ever see her without it, you're gonna think, What's happening today?" Because that's her signature. So I love that you brought that up as well. And like you said, it takes quite a bit of attentive energy here. Hey everyone, we'll get right back into the conversation. But first, for sure members tuning into this episode, we have exclusive bonus content, a practical guide for HR professionals featuring 5 strategies for using LinkedIn to elevate your professional status even more. In this online resource, you'll find actionable tips for optimizing your profile, engaging with intention, and showcasing your organization's culture. We've also included a LinkedIn etiquette checklist to help make your interactions further reflect your expertise and credibility. If you're watching on YouTube, just click the link above to get instant access or find the link in this episode's description. This guide is just one of the many advantages of being a Sure member, so be sure to take full advantage of this valuable resource. Now, let's get back to the episode. So it can be kind of hard to start from scratch, but I would love to do a mock crash course. Walk me through this. Let's say I come to you as a new client wanting to build my personal brand, but I don't know how or even where to begin. It almost feels overwhelming. So, what are some exercises I should do to start narrowing in on what I want my brand to communicate?
Yeah, I think the first step though is to ask yourself is who is your audience? Who are you trying to connect with through this personal brand? And be aware you can have more than one personal brand, right? Like let's talk about the professional mom, right? The professional woman, she's a mom, she's an executive at her company, she's got kids. So there's her brand that shows up at the kids' school that can look one way, and then there's her executive brand, or maybe she wants to be an executive, right? I'm talking to a lot of managers today that are saying, I want to be an executive. How do I do that? So let's start with the easy part for the crash course. The first part is physically. How are you showing up? Are you dressed to impressed? They always say, dress for the position you want, not for the position you have. So, are you dressing as an executive? And this doesn't mean you have to wear your navy blue suit in pearls. I love your story of the executive that's known for her bracelets and everything. Be authentically you, but let's level it up in a way. Then, how is your presence in meetings? Are you asking questions? Are you contributing information? Then let's go to the digital brand. Let's take a look at all of your social media profiles. Do you need to scrub some of them, clean them up so that you are showcasing yourself in the right light? And are you using LinkedIn? I love LinkedIn. So, do you have a professional LinkedIn profile? Does your LinkedIn headline showcase not just your job title, but your superpowers or your areas of expertise? Do you have your about section, your professional history, your skills, your education? Are you posting things of value? If you're at work, are you volunteering for additional opportunities to help and not always asking, can I get paid for this if I do this? Right? Because the money will come if you show up, if you are seen as someone that is a contributor and a subject matter expert, I promise you the money will come. And all of this takes time. Like you can't just do this all in one day. You have to play the long game. But it all starts with let's figure out how physically you're showing up and your presence. If that's all you do, I'm going to show up dressed professionally. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to contribute and ask intelligent questions. That's going to go a long way to establishing your new brand.
So let's say I've finished defining my personal brand. We've gotten to this point, it's successful, and now I want to put it into practice. Since one of your specialty areas is helping professionals leverage their digital platforms, let's dive into LinkedIn. What are some of the most impactful ways I can start implementing my personal brand on that platform?
First way, we are visual creatures. So, yes, I'm telling your audience, yes, you need a headshot. Yes, you need a headshot. Yes, you need a current photo of the way you look today, not the way you looked 10 years ago. It needs to be shoulders and above, clean background. I don't want to see the hair and hand of your significant other that you've chopped off, or the happy birthday balloons or the Christmas tree behind you. You can take it with your phone. You don't need to spend a lot of money in this, but it needs to be a professional photo because we are visual creatures. And on LinkedIn, there's so many ways to be visual. There's the background banner. Like here in the Bay Area, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of people have the Golden Gate Bridge, the big, beautiful red orange bridge. And I'm like, did you work on the bridge? No. Do you want to cross the bridge? Right? Do you want to cross the bridge to go to work? No. Then why is it in your background? Make that banner. Use some amazing tools like Canva to create a banner that showcases your brand, your expertise, and then apply that message throughout the entire profile from top to bottom, beginning to end. Do the whole profile. That's step one.
I literally had this exact conversation with our producer Melody when reviewing this episode, talking about the banner and how it has to apply to what your personal brand is all about. It can't be too generic. So I love that you brought that up. So you've obviously have a lot of experience here with the LinkedIn platform. So what's a branding technique you personally used that gave you clear results that it's working?
One of the things I do is I celebrate my connections. We talked about that positivity. So LinkedIn tells you when people have a birthday, when they have a new job, when they have a work anniversary. So when that pops up in my notifications, I say, "Happy birthday. How are you doing? I'm so thrilled that you had another trip around the sun. Congratulations on your new role. You are going to be amazing in this position." I celebrate my audience. And so they know Madeline always shows up for me every single year. And that's a way to keep my name top of mind with them because someone may not need your skills today, but in the future, they absolutely will need what you have to offer. And you want them to remember your name. And so by engaging with your connections, saying happy birthday, congratulations on the new job. I see you got a new certification. Way to go. Reading your LinkedIn feed 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day, and just commenting on people's posts, sharing your expertise is a way to be remembered, right? We go back to Just Do It. Everybody remembers Nike. That campaign is decades old now, and we all still remember it and talk about it. You want people to still remember and talk about your name. So you have to stay engaged with your community.
I love it. Yeah, just do it. Just go on LinkedIn just once in the morning. Get it done. Done. We're on social media a lot anyway. Okay, so for our next segment, we're going to call it brand or bland. I'm going to describe a few scenarios for you, and we'll have you explain whether it's enhancing my personal brand or if it's keeping it bland. So, ready to get started?
All right. It's a
Okay.
brand or a bland. I got it.
Okay. Let's say I post multiple times a week on LinkedIn about what I'm doing at work, so my network regularly sees what I'm up to. What do you think? Enhancing the brand or keeping it bland?
I think it's enhancing the brand as long as you are showcasing your expertise. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have something to say
Mhm.
it.
So that goes to the opposite side, is there such a thing as posting too much about your work, achievements, etc.?
I think if it's not offering value to your audience, it's like the here's what I had for lunch today. That unless you're a chef, that's not going to add value to your audience. But if you're showing here's a project I'm working on and I'm going to take you on this journey with me of showing you the best practices and the oops, I didn't mean to do that. Here's what I would do differently. We love those kinds of stories. But every day you really only need once a week is about if you're telling a story, but people are going to tune in for that if it's a good story.
Mhm, mhm. Exactly, yeah, we're happy you're having a healthy lunch, but maybe not something to share. Okay, another scenario is I post daily motivational quotes on my LinkedIn, but not much else. We kind of leading into this question with your answer before, but what do you think?
That's bland. That's bland. I mean, that's old. Yeah, I can look at my own motivational quotes.
That's for the posters. It's not for the posts. Okay. So, next scenario, I start a weekly email newsletter that people can sign up for on my website where I share news from my industry, followed by my personal take. Thoughts?
I do that all the time. So that enhances your brand of saying, here are my 3 tips. And to learn more, click this link to join my newsletter. I think as long as you're adding value, that's a great, great strategy. The opposite of that would be sign up for my newsletter to find out cool things, but you're not sharing those cool things. So our inboxes are already full. I'm not signing up for anybody's newsletter unless I know there's going to be value. So always start with sharing value first.
Post with purpose. Yes. You want to give people an idea of what they're going to get out of this. You can't just keep it too generic. So that's really smart. Okay, finally, I've chosen a color as part of my personal brand. We talked about the banner a lot. How and this goes a little deeper into like the marketing courses in your college, but how does if I keep my colors consistent, it's in my presentation decks, it's in my emails, it's on my banner. Is that enhancing my brand or is it not doing so much?
It's a way for people to recognize you. So my brand is red. Everything I do on my LinkedIn page, my website, when I show up to speak, I've got my red on. And I'm kind of known for that. And so when people see something and it's got red in their inbox, they're like, that's from Madeline. So it's kind of a shortcut to help people connect with you, but don't get carried away. You'll never see me with red hair. Redheads are beautiful, but I won't be dyeing my hair red to tie into my brand. But it also makes your life easier as an entrepreneur, as a professional, when you're having to do something, your letterhead, your what to wear to an event, you're like, well, my color is red. That's what I'm going to use.
So, for our next segment, let's chat through some questions submitted by our audience to get your hot take on this. So, each week we ask our audience to submit questions they might have on the topic for an upcoming episode, and we had some great responses. So, to our audience tuning in today, make sure you're subscribed. You'll find the sign up link in our episode description, and your responses to our question of the week could actually be featured in an upcoming episode. So, Madeline, you ready to answer some of our audience's questions?
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Rebecca from South Carolina, she asks, I often struggle with self doubt and worry I'm not representing myself accurately, which leads me to understate my strengths and the impact I've had on organizations. What strategies can I use to amplify my voice and confidently communicate my value? I relate a lot to this question.
Oh, wow. There's that you feel like you're an impersonator, right? So the best thing to do is practice, practice, and practice. So especially if you're going to be at an interview, a networking event, practicing that elevator pitch of how you want to show up and what you want to say is going to be really, really critical. Also, another thing is I want you to think back to a time when you were really successful in a project that you've worked on or something that you have done. And remember that you did that. You were successful. So there has to be some positive self talk. You got to kind of pep yourself up before you go into those situations where you have to showcase your value and your expertise. But the only way to get better at it is to practice, practice, and practice. And that's where tapping into a mentor or a career coach can really help you dial that in and get good at that.
And just know that a lot of people go through this. You're not alone in that. So, Joelia from Nebraska, she asks, how important to my personal brand is interacting with other people's posts on LinkedIn? We kind of already addressed this, but let's dive a little deeper.
Yes, Joelia, you need to make sure you're interacting with the right people because here's the thing on LinkedIn everyone can see who you are engaging with. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to comment on this person that's so negative and ranting and raving. I'm going to comment on that because that's my friend and I want to give them support. Well, send your friend a private, direct message. Do not comment, because that old saying of our mothers, birds of a feather flock together. So you really want to make sure you are commenting on the right post for the right people for your brand. So not everybody is a good friend on LinkedIn. You really want to focus on those that are adding value, and that your comment isn't just congratulations or nice job or way to go, but that your content also adds value.
Right. I love that you brought that up. Thank you for making that point. And lastly, Jen from North Carolina asks, what are some in-person or non-digital ways to build and reinforce my personal brand? It's a great question.
I love that question, because it's so easy for some of us to hide behind our digital personas that when we go out in public, we don't know how to act. So, I think going out and finding professional networks and associations. So, for every position, every job title, there is associations. So, if you are in HR, you should be going to your local chapter events and talking to people, finding out best tips, sharing challenges that you're having, because chances are there is someone in the room that's having those same challenges, and also someone in the room that has gone through those challenges and came out on the other side. So I love professional associations, because there's some commonality there. But I also believe that networking can be fun. So I used meetup.com a lot for networking, and I would go to book clubs and walking groups. And the best networking I ever did was on the campground. There was a camping group, and I'm a glamper, and I cook with Dutch ovens. And one morning I was making bacon wrapped cinnamon rolls at my campsite, and someone came over and said, "What are you doing over here?" And I said, "I'm making bacon wrapped cinnamon rolls." And she said, "Do you want a mimosa? Let me go get you a mimosa. I'll be right back." And she came back with her camp chair and a mimosa for me and three of our other friends. And she was like, "This is Madeline. Madeline, while we're waiting on those cinnamon rolls, tell us about yourself." And I told them that I was a career coach and resume writer. And they were like, "Oh, I have friends that were just laid off that need some help. Let's talk about it." And this is the campground that we are having these conversations. So it's really find your tribe is what I like to tell everyone, whether it's a professional association or a fun group. Find people that you're going to be comfortable with and that you're going to be able to be your authentic self.
Exactly. It's contagious and it can be anywhere you are. And I love that you brought that up. Thank you so much, Madeline. Your thoughts and insights today and your practical advice have been super helpful. I mean, I'm about to go revamp my own LinkedIn profile. So thank you so much for coming on All Things Work.
You are welcome, Anne. This has been great. And tell your audience to feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me under Madeline Mackey, the Career Activator. I'll be wearing red. So feel free to connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn.
Signature color. Love it. Well, thank you, Madeline. And that's all for this week. We'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed our conversation today, be sure to subscribe wherever you enjoy your podcast so you never miss a new episode. Also, did you know All Things Work is more than a podcast? That's right, we're also a weekly newsletter that includes in-depth articles and the latest research from SHRM to keep you in the know. Just head to shrm.org/allthingswork to sign up. Plus, follow SHRM on social media to view the latest clips and join the conversation on game-changing topics that are redefining the world of work.
SHRM.